And when you go to English to Vietnamese, it's even more because it's more difficult for us to understand if in Vietnam, the Vietnamese language is kept in the essence. So even though that your directional compass is clear, the global leader needs to understand that they are not going to understand in your same idiom. They will understand in their own. And that language is not a translation. What you need to do, it's an interpretation. Which that's another point that we found out when we were in Hanoi, when we made the factory. Translation of documents is not the same because you need interpretations when you want to go to a different culture.
I love that. Okay, let's zero in on that, because I mean that is that to me is like a golden nugget that people need to appreciate, right? Because people take standard work literally, and they think, okay, if I'm going to take standard work and I'm gonna change the words, I'm just going to put it through a Google Translate, and I'm gonna, and this is it. This is my new standard work in a different language. And but you're saying that's a recipe for failure.
Yes, correct.
Right.
Correct. The translation, yes.
Yeah, it needs to be it doesn't need to be translated. It needs to be interpreted in a way that it becomes the essence of whatever language you're translating it.
Yes, I completely agree. The thing is that, let me put you another example. In Latin America, we have very slang expressions that helps you to make your speech even stronger. But that slang's expression is not the same if you use it in English. If you use it in English, no one will understand what you're trying to say. Now, if you put that one into Vietnamese, there's another one. So each person have those expressions in order to make them understand, make them more clear, and everyone can understand a little bit better. And we're talking about the same when we talk about KPIs. If we're talking, for example, OEE, in my case, I think I understand more the words in English more than actually Spanish, because it has a different meaning when you say it in OEE than in Spanish, because Spanish is a little bit more literal in that sense. So imagine putting that in the language of the country that I am right now, that is in Vietnamese. When you talk about OEE with the team, they might feel that it's just an efficiency of an equipment, and they only think in equipment. They don't put the availability of the time or the quality of the time. So there's an interpretation that needs to be around the tools of lean, so that they can understand a little bit better. In the North, it's a very short and funny story. In the North, we were trying to implement a war room so that we can follow up the Kaizen events in the war room. But funny part, in El Salvador, we use the word war room, and for us, it's okay, fine, we understand. It's an operations control room that you need to do everything. But you come to Vietnam and you mention the word war. For them, it was, okay, we're going to go there to fight. You never intended to be a bad thing. But again, you use the same term to a culture that you don't understand yet, and then you need to change a little bit the comfort. So now it's not a war room anymore. Let's use the term ovella, because it's actually an ovella what you need. Those are the points that I'm saying, that you need to be a little bit careful on what you tweak and what you use, or what you copy paste, or what you translate, because it's not going to have the same impact as it is in the same language of the country that you are.
Yeah. So what did you call that room again? Nice and slow.
Ovella for the Japanese term, and war room, because I mean the war room where we put all the Kaizen events to control it.
No, I know exactly. I know what like the war room. I've used that term probably hundreds of times before, and helped organizations create and build them. It's interesting, but I had never really thought much about that. But the story you just shared is just poignant. It just says, you obviously couldn't use that term in certain countries, and North Vietnam would certainly be one of those that you would be very cautious about using a term like that. So
correct.
Yeah, that's an amazing example of that. If you're getting value out of this video, make sure you hit the like button, make sure you hit subscribe, and please leave me a comment, because I'm always anxious to hear from them, and I will answer every comment. Now, the other interesting thing you talked about was the use of terms in Latin America versus, I think, English, translation to English, and English to Vietnamese. So sometimes that happens even within English to English.
Yes, true.
Right, we've seen it. Especially if you think, London or European English versus, say, North American English, or they use a different word for the same thing. right? I think of some of the terms like lorry and truck, right?
Yeah,
Like
yeah. Yes,
right.
correct.
If you said lorry in North America, they would think you were talking about somebody, right?
Yeah, correct. Yeah, they are never going to understand that it's part of a vehicle. Yeah, I agree with you, and I can tell you that even can happen within industries. I got a funny story from my sensei a long time ago, but my sensei told me that there was one time that he was doing a kaizen in a hospital and he was using the pick chart. So the pick chart, in order to define what is priorities, what kaizens to grab, which ones not to grab. So you remember that each letter that has a different meaning. B can be possible or plan. I can be to implement it. C of the pick chart, right? The C is challenge. And then the kick in the natural methodology will be kill. But if you use that word in the hospital environment, then everyone was scared. So again, communication in between industries, in between factories, in between countries, in between continents is extremely important, that you can understand who is going to be the audience or the forum that you're going to give this, so that you can tweak a little bit. You will never change the main idea of that. You will just try to avoid hitting weak spots or soft spots, and try to avoid to hit those ones, because later on when you hit a weak spot, it's difficult to get the embrace of the brain of the people. They grab that as the negative part, and they take that and they hold it until they see something else that they will say, okay, now I believe you. First impressions are important, right?